Okay, so as you already know, padding will apply space around inside the element and the container that it's inside. Now margin is the opposite. Margin will apply a space around the element. Okay, so this span over here, we can apply margin around it. So let me do that. If I do margin, then let's say 50 pixels. Now, as you can see, there is a space that has been created around this element from this side to this side. There's a margin of 50 pixels that has been automatically applied. Okay. Now, just like padding, you can specify where you want the margin to be. So let's say I can do margin. Margin top. And voila, the space. Looks like the margin is not being applied. So the margin top, let me put under put it inside a div so that we can have a proper, so width 100 pixels, height also 100 pixels. So with this one, we are creating a perfect square. So this is our square. Now let's try adding padding to it. Let's have another. Let's call this one blue box, or this one so that one will have let it have the same thing, but let's make this one red. So this blue box, let's copy it, another div, just a container, then that's red box. So let's see what we already have. Okay, so as you can see, there's no space between the red and the blue box. Okay, so let's say we want to separate the red box from the blue box. There are a couple of ways that you can do. Let's apply margin of 50 pixels to the red box. Now, if you do that, as you can see, from the top, from this side to this side is 50 pixels. Then from the left, from the container to this side is also 50 pixels. Then this side and this side also, there's a 50 pixels that has been applied. Then from the bottom also, there's a 50 pixels that has already been applied. Let me confirm that for you to see. So let's say if you have a span over here, say just after red box. Now, if you look at this one, as you can see, there's this 50 pixels that has been applied to the bottom. The right also, there's 50 pixels that has been applied, then the top and the right. So if you do margin will add space around the element. Okay, now as you can see, automatically our box has been distorted. It looks like this one has shifted to this side. So in that case, probably we only needed the margin to be applied on the top. You can do that. So I'm going to comment this one out and do margin top. and apply my 50 pages over there. And as you can see, now the padding, the margin is being applied to the top only. The bottom is not, the right is not, and the left one also, there's no padding that has been applied. Now we can equally apply another padding, a margin rather. So what we are doing with the margin, we can also do it with the padding also. So let's do padding left. Let's give it 30 pages. And you can see now we've shifted the element, or you have added a space of 30 pages before or at the left of the element. You can also add margin bottom. So margin bottom, let's go crazy. 80 pages, and voila, this element has been pushed down but with a margin of 80 pages. You can also do same for the right, but because there's no element at the right, you won't see that effect. So someone may ask, doing this, all these three things, or four, let's say even if you add the margin right, margin right, so let's give it 80. So ideally, this is going to be applied. There's a margin. Oh, you should be right rather. There's a margin of 80 pieces that has been applied at this side, at the right side, but because there's no element there, you will see. So let me inspect elements. So if you want to see how your HTML and the styling is done, on the page, you right click, then you pick inspect elements. Then you have this window over here, and you have a whole lot of tasks, but what you are interested in now is element. You click on it, it will give you access to everything on the page. So you see, when I selected the red box, it's highlighted on the document and it's telling me where it is. If I highlight the blue, as you can see, it will also show me. Now if I click on it, on the right side, it tells me the style that has been applied to that particular document. Okay, and this is very, very useful because it helps you to understand how the browser is actually laying out your content. Just as you can imagine, you can also change the styling over here and it will take effect. But this one won't be persistent. It won't be part of your code. But this one will just give you a visual effect of how your page is being laid out. Okay, so this is inspect element. Now, as I was saying, someone may ask, instead of writing all these long things, can't you do it an easy way? Yes, you can do that easily. And you call it the shorthand method of margin. So let's comment everything out. So this is how it goes. You do margin, then the first unit that you give, that unit to be applied to the top. So if I do 50 pages, this unit over here will be applied to the top. Then if I do 80 pages, this will be applied to the right. Okay. Then if I add another one, let's say 30 pages, this will be applied to the bottom. Then if I do 10 pages, this will be applied to the left. So it kind of go anti-clockwise. So let's see what we've done. The top should be 50, the right should be 80, and the bottom should be 30. So let's go to our page. As you can see, the top, we are applying 50 pages. The bottom, that is the third in the line, is 30. Visually, you can see because the space here is smaller than this one, so you can see it's 30. Then the last one is 10 pages, and that is at the left side. Okay, so this is what you call the shorthand way of writing margins. So instead of going or writing these four things, margin left, margin right, margin whatever, you can lay them in one line of code like this. So margin, the first element, the first unit that you apply will go to the top. The next one will go to the right. The third one will go to the bottom, and the last one will go to the right. Now, as programming is also fun, you can write this thing shorter using only three units. So you can also do margin. The first one, if you do 3 units, the first one will be applied to the top. The second one will be applied to the left and the right. Okay, and the last one, whatever you apply, will be applied to the bottom. So now let's confirm this. As you can see, the top is 50. Okay, the right didn't change as much because previously we were applying to 10. So 10 is being applied here, and 10 is also being applied to the right. The left and right will have 10, and the bottom will have 80. So that is it. So this is a shorter way of writing it. Also, there's another shorter way of writing it. That is with 2. So you can do margin. Then the first unit that, let's make a little bit visual effect. The first unit that you apply will be applied to the top and the bottom. Okay. Then the next one will be applied to the left and right. So this just 2 units. Now let's go to our page. As you can see, the top and the bottom is we are applying 30 pages, and the right and the left we are applying 80. So this is a shorter way of writing margin. Okay, now there's another way of writing margin. So margin, so in this case, we are going to use auto. So I'm going to tell the browser that, okay, for the top and bottom, apply 20 pages, but the left and right, auto. So just look at the space that is on the horizontal and divide it equally and put the element there. Okay, so if you do that, as you can see, it's centering the object, the element at the center. So the top and bottom is applying 30 pages. Then the left and right, look at the space there, calculate it and apply, distribute the element evenly. So it will give equal space at the right and equal margin also at the left. So that is with the auto. That's what the auto will do. Then you can also do the same, where in this case, instead of letting the top have 20, you can do margin auto. So the top and right, look at the space there, they divide it equally, but the left and right apply 50 pages. So this is also another way of writing what do you call the CSS. So because the container, there's no weight, it there's no, it didn't apply the auto, but the top, the left and right, it has applied the 50 pages that we assigned to it. Please, any question so far on what I've talked about the margin? Are we okay?
Yeah, I'm following. Yeah, yes, yeah.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so let's continue. So that is how you can apply margin to your document. Now, with that said, you can also do the same for uh, padding and all those things. Now, I think by now you are seeing some nice or cool tricks that you can do with CSS. Because, for example, look at it. We just created a box. using only CSS. Okay. In this case, in another case also, we can also create a circle using CSS. Now, we are going to leverage our ideas or what we learned with borders to do that. So let's say our class is going to be circle. Now you're going to have this the CSS for creating a circle. So the width and the height should be the same. It can be any height that you give. But if you want it, so let's make it green so that it becomes visually visible. So background color going to be green. Okay. Now the magic trick here is to apply what we call border radius. Okay. Now let me do it small so that you have a feeling of how is this. Let me increase the width small. Oh, sorry. Let me increase the width so that you have a feeling of what I'm going to do. Like 20. Okay, so let's go to our page. Oh, who can tell me why it didn't the CSS didn't show? Why is that we've done a class called circle, but when I came to the page, there's nothing that shows what we've done. Any suggestion? Looking at the code. Hello. Today my people are not talking.
Yeah, I'm following.
Hello, Mr. Body. Okay, Mr. Body, do you hear me? Hello. Okay, so what the reason why the circle or the class that we've called circle is not showing, because we have not given any element that class. So let's call it circle. Now when you come here, our circle should show. So circle. It's not padding. Why is it that our circle is not showing? So let's inspect element and see what you have. So our circle is here, but the styling is not being applied. Okay, so I think there's a mistake with the spelling. Okay, so let me give it. So let's put a margin button small to the top one so that it separates from what you're seeing. So if you look at the rectangle that I have, it has a little bit of rounded corners. I hope you can see. It's a bit rounded. And the rounding here is as a result of this border radius. Let me take it off. Then you see what I mean. As you can see, it's square corners. Okay. If you want to apply a little bit of border to it, you use border radius, then you apply your border to it. So as you can see, there's a little bit of the edges are rounded small. So if you want to do rounded corners, this is how you do it. But the idea is, if you have an element with the same width and the same height, now if you specify a border radius, which is half of it, it's going to turn it to a circle. Okay, so this is a perfect circle. And we did or create this circle using just just this CSS, the same height, the same width, but the border should be half of the height and the width. Okay, so this thing can be scalable. If I do 50, 500, 500, what should be the border radius so that I get a circle? Any contribution? If I want this one to be a circle, what should I do to the border radius? Hello?
It should be 250. 250.
I need to go back to the code.
Okay, Mr. Bode, I'm inside the code. Yeah. Hello.
So
Mm-hmm.
the hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, the height 500. I think that this is exactly what I was going to say, because if you divide this one by 2, this one is 250. This one 500, and it is not showing. So for that one, I think I don't know what to say again.
No, because I've not saved it, so it should be 250.
Okay.
Now when you go to the page, automatically you're having our circle. So these are some of the cool things that you can do with CSS. Very, very powerful. Very, very powerful. So there are a lot of things that you can do with CSS. This one example, you can draw shapes with it. You can put a little bit of shadow, cursor, and all those things. Now let's look at cursors. Now, if I go to the code, let's call this one width. So let's call it width. Then you do cursor. The cursor has what you call width. Is it width or busy? Let's apply. If it doesn't work, we change it. So let's apply a class and call it width. Now, if you come to the code, if I put the mouse around the span, I hope you can see what's happening. Do you see what's happening?
Yes.
Yeah, so it automatically it's making the cursor behave as if something is happening. So if you want to show the user that wait, the data is loading, this is how you do it. You just apply a CSS called cursor and the value being wait. Okay, there's another one that you call it pointer. Oh, so let me call it point me. The class name is going to be called point me. And that one, the cursor is called pointer. Okay, so let's change this one to point me. And when you go to the page, when I send up, you see the way the cursor is, when I put it on it, you see it changes to a hand. Okay, so these are some of the cool things you can do it in your page so that the user will have a feeling. So if you want the user to see that, okay, this thing should be clicked, you just use you just change the cursor to pointer, so the user will know that, okay, this one is a button that you have to click. For example, let's say the box is over here. If you want to give it the feeling or make the user feel that, okay, this can be clicked, what you do is you just apply the cursor to it. So cursor pointer. Okay, so now when you go to the blue, automatically it will behave as if you have to click on it. So these are some of the things that you can do with CSS. But as I promised you, this is just a bit of what can be done with CSS. CSS is very nice, or you can do a lot of things with it, but I have a feeling that there's this much that you can do. So there are libraries that actually makes you write CSS very, very easily, that you don't have to think about, okay, how do I style this, how do I put this? there are these libraries out there that makes your work very, very easy. One popular one, and I think you have seen it around, or you have seen it at other places, is what you call Bootstrap. Okay, let me show you an example. I think you've seen it at other places. So this particular thing, or this particular styling, or how the pages looks like, how the button is what we call Bootstrap. So Bootstrap is used to style this element. So let's say, look at how the button is. Now let's do a simple button and see how that one will look like. So if I have button, okay. Now let's look at how the button looks like. This is our button. Compare that one to this. Which one is nicer? This, of course, right?
This one, yeah.
Yes, this is very nice. Now, it is very easy to do, okay, with Bootstrap. You don't need to write CSS. So now let's try and do this button over here. So as you can see, the background is blue. It has a little bit of padding. Then the text is white. So let's try and do same. So let's call it my button. So the background color is going to be blue. The color, the text color is going to be white. And let's add padding of 16 pixels. Now let's apply that one to that. So call it my button. So with that, we can also have a feeling of how that button is. It's not as close as nice as this, okay, but you can still get that feeling. Let's continue. I think you have to add a little bit of border radius. As you can see, there's a little bit of radius, okay, and it looks like our padding is too much, so let's reduce that to, let's say, 8, half of it. Then let's add border radius of let's do 8 pixels. And I think the border is black, so let's change that to 1 pixel solid, a bit of blue. And now let's see what you have. So as you can see, we are getting a little bit closer to the button over here. But with that said, there's button over here and the button over here. I will choose this one over this. Okay. But to get this button, it's simple. All that you have to do is just apply this class to it. BTN primary, and you get this button. You don't need to write any CSS. And that's it. You get button. So Bootstrap makes styling very, very, very easy. Now let's look at other components. So this is the button that I was talking about. So these are buttons with different colors and style. And all that you have to do is just apply this particular class to it. So BTN primary will give you this styling. You don't need to write any CSS, and automatically you get that. Okay, look at this nice buttons over here. If I do BTN outline primary, I get this nice button. I don't need to write any CSS. We have also other things. So if I want to have an alert, show the user something has gone wrong, I just do alert danger, apply this particular CSS, and automatically I get this styling. The same thing applies to card. If I want to get this nice card over here, all I have to do is just do card, and that's it. I get this nice thing over here. If I want to do modal, let me click on it. So if I want to have this kind of nice thing over here, all I have to do is do a class called modal, and automatically I get this thing. I don't need to write any JavaScript. All this thing can be done just by using Bootstrap. If I want to have a navigation bar, like something like nice like this, I don't need to write any CSS. I just have to be calling some particular classes and I get it. If I want to get a progress bar, I don't need to write any CSS and automatically I get that. Now, I'm just showing you all this thing to just whet your appetite. You don't need to write any CSS and automatically you'll be getting all these things just by calling certain class, and you have a way of calling them. And this is what you call Bootstrap. And as you can confirm, most website that you see uses Bootstrap. Okay, if you go to Twitter, how it's going, the look and feel looks like they are all use this type of classes. So if you understand which class to use for each component, you are going to create a website, a nice website, in just a second, and you don't need to write any CSS for it. Now, how do you get this nice thing that I'm talking about? The only that you just come to this website, getbootstrap.com. Now the current Bootstrap version is version 5. It doesn't matter, there are older versions, but let's use the latest one. So to get it, all that this what you can do is you can download it, download the CSS and put it in your code, and that's it. You are gone. Okay, if you don't have internet, that you always if you don't have internet, then you have to download it, then you just link it in your page. So let's do that one first. So I'm going to download Bootstrap, and it's downloaded. Let me extract it. Okay, so this is the Bootstrap. You have the CSS and JS. Okay, so if you go into the CSS, you have a bunch of classes, a whole lot of them. Don't worry about them. I will show you how to link it. Then you have the JS also. Okay, now if you want to have this CSS in your code, all that you have to do is just go to the this one and look for Bootstrap domain. The mean is they have compressed it to become smaller. The normal Bootstrap is huge. There are spaces in it, so it becomes very huge. So you can just, let me change the location to Bootstrap. Then copy this one to our, so this is my workspace, what we are using now, the padding that I just created. This is, so you just put it inside the same folder where your work is. Okay, so this is the Bootstrap, and inside the Bootstrap, the CSS folder and the JS folder. Now, if you remember, you talked about linking external CSS. Okay, so to do that, you just come to the top of your page, then you do link, or let's be easy. Then you have to give it the location that it is. So the location is inside my Bootstrap folder, and inside the Bootstrap folder, the CSS folder. And I told you we are going to use the Bootstrap, the minified version. So Bootstrap dot main dot CSS. Okay, this is the minified version, or you can just use the CSS. Any of them that you use is fine. But if you use the main, that one, the size is smaller, so page will load faster. Okay, so this is how you link the CSS. Now let's save it. Go to our page. Nothing happens. Okay. Now this is our button that we created. Let me have another button. So this is Bootstrap. Bootstrap button. So all that you have to do is apply this class. So class btn hyphen primary. We'll talk about the classes so that you get used to them. So if I apply this one without writing any CSS, let's look at what happened. You see what you're getting? You're getting this nice button over here. This is our button that we created, and this is what Bootstrap is giving us. We didn't write any CSS. We have not written any CSS. You just call this particular class and look at it. You have a nice button over here. Let me reduce the name so that you have a feeling. So let me clean all these ones. Clean this. They have the button. So as you can see, this is the button that you created, and this is the CSS button. We didn't do anything. We have not written any CSS, and we are getting this nice button just by applying this class btn. In Bootstrap, if you do btn, it means you are talking about a button. Okay, so buttons are called btn, and if you want to apply the primary color, that one becomes btn primary, and you get this nice button over here. Okay, let me comment our button out. We have not written any CSS, and look at it, we are getting this nice button over here. Now there are other classes. If you do btn danger, automatically look at it, you have this red button over here. We didn't do anything. We have not written any CSS, and we are getting a nice button compared to the one that you have. You can also do btn success. Okay, I'll show you all these classes, where to find them, to apply them in your code. And look at it, we are getting this blue green button, nice button over here, without writing any code. So this is what you call Bootstrap. Okay, so what you do is, if you don't have internet that always you are going to be offline, want to work with it, just go to getbootstrap.com. I'm going to put the link inside the chat. Download it. Then when you finish, just put the Bootstrap folder inside where your work is. Then just use link to reference the external CSS. Okay, this is one way of having Bootstrap in your code. The other way is to use the CDN. So in that case, that one you have internet. If you have internet, you don't need to download the big CSS and put in your work. You can just use the CDN from the Bootstrap website. This is what I recommend. So let's go to the introduction. So there's it. This is the Bootstrap CSS. Just go there, then copy it. Then what you do is, instead of doing the linking yourself, you just put this link, which will point to the online version of Bootstrap. Then there's also a CSS that will make some animation and those things. You copy that one also. Then you put it just before the closing tag of your body. Okay, so it should be outside. Okay, then if you go to the page, we are having the same styling that we had before. Nothing has changed. But here we are using the link. We are using the online version of Bootstrap. Please, are you following?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So with that said, let's look at some of the common classes in Bootstrap. Now, Bootstrap, as you already know, is what we call mobile first CSS. Now, what that means is automatically the class is being applied with the mind that the user is going to use a mobile phone to open your app. Okay, then if the person uses a bigger screen, the styling is going to change. So for example, let me do an example on this page, this Bootstrap page. You come to inspect element. Now, look at this icon over here. Click on it. If you click on it, you are saying that you are viewing this as mobile. Okay. So when someone opens your app as a mobile application, look at it nicely. The banner has changed. Okay, and the text is fitting in nicely. So this is what Bootstrap gives you out of the box. So if the person uses a 5 smaller phone, the styling is going to suit how the phone should be. If someone uses iPhone, where's iPhone? iPhone Pro, 12 Pro Max, it's going to change the styling to suit iPhone 12 Pro Max. If someone uses iPad, okay, you see the styling has changed. Let me change it. Orientation, when the person turns the phone, all these things, Bootstrap will handle it for you out of the box. You don't need to write any class at all. Okay, what if someone uses Surface Pro? It's just a kind of small laptop. This is how it's going to be. Bootstrap automatically handles it for you. You don't need to write anything. So with that small CSS, okay, your app is going to be what you call responsive. No matter which screen the person's open your app on, your app is going to look very, very nice and professional. So I'm going to recommend using Bootstrap. Now let's go back to the desktop mode and explore this Bootstrap. Now, as I said, Bootstrap, all that you have to do is just apply classes to your element, and automatically you are going to have whatever you want to have on a page. Okay, so now let's look at some of these classes. The very important ones are the breakpoints, the one that I talked about. So if you want some particular element to show when your phone, someone uses phone only, you want some things to show when someone uses laptop only, you want some things to show when someone projects your website on a bigger screen, you can apply some classes to it. So these special classes, you have SM, MD, LG, SL, and SSL. So SM is for small screen. So that means that you see what if you use the SM class, what it's going to do is it's going to apply that styling on small screen and below, like phone, small phones and those things. That's what it's going to do. Now, if you use MD is medium. So that one is going to apply your styling on laptops and phones, like laptops and below. Okay. If you use LG, it's going to apply it on larger screen. So you can connect your laptop to a TV or projector and those things. It's going to apply that styling to projectors or this kind of any screen with this particular weight and below. Okay. Then SL, any screen with this particular size. Then SSL, any screen with this particular size. So what is important is remember these classes. It's very, very crucial. SM, MD, LG, SL, and SSL. Okay. Now you have containers. So automatically, if you want your work to have a particular padding around it or margin around it, you can use either container or container fluid. Now let me apply it. So for your work, always start with the initial div, then the class is going to be container. Let's see how container is. Now let me go and put the button inside the container. When I put it inside, as you can see, Bootstrap automatically has applied a particular margin to it. So now anything that I put in this particular container is going to have this nice margin. So as you can see, there's a space, a nice space around it. There's another container called container fluid. Okay, you apply it, and that one, there's no margin that has been assigned. It will just start from the beginning of the page. So these are the two. If you want your document to start with a margin, you can apply the container. That one applies it to both ends. So let's say if I have this long paragraph, okay, I have this very long paragraph. As you can see, at this side also, there's this margin that has been applied. So your work will be at the center of the page. And as you can see, we have not written any CSS, and automatically Bootstrap is giving us that. So take note of that. So I just want to talk about the important ones, then we continue. The next one is called the grid. This is very, very crucial. Please, you have to understand this one. So in Bootstrap, we have what you call rows and columns. Okay, now this is how the browser behaves. The browser behaves like from top to bottom, but it has to go from top from the left to right. Okay, the browser behaves as a row. So as you are putting content inside the page, the browser will lay them from left to right, left to right, left to right till it hits the button. Okay, so this is how Bootstrap works. Bootstrap will take the whole of this as a row. Then this row, you can divide it into columns. Okay, so is someone's hand up?
No, I don't think so.
So don't worry. After that, I'll give you the link. Just go there, just play with all the classes there. But this one, the grade system, I just want you to understand it. So what Bootstrap does is it lays whatever as row. Okay, this is considered the whole from left to right is row. Now you can divide a row into columns. Okay, so if you do a class row, inside the row, you have to have another class called column or core. The core will divide your work equally. Now, automatically, Bootstrap divide your columns into 12 automatically on all screen. Now, if you do core without anything, Bootstrap, and you see you have one core over here, then you have another core, so you have 3. So automatically, Bootstrap will divide your page evenly into 3 different parts. Okay, so let's do an example for you to understand. So as I said, I have to start with what you call row. So class row. Okay, if you want to divide your pages, so row. Inside the row is what you call the columns or core. So div, what you call class core. Now let me put a p tag over here. If I add another one, let's use the 2 for example. Did I save it? It has not been saved. Save. Go to the page, and as you can see, Bootstrap is dividing our row into 2. There's this column and this column. So if you don't specify, Bootstrap will automatically divide it for you. But don't forget, I've told you that Bootstrap will divide a column. The columns, you have 12 spaces. Okay. So you can continue say like, okay, the first one should have 8. If I give the first column 8, how many do I have remaining?
Is it 4?
Hello?
Because I said it's 12.
4.
Is it 4?
It's 12.
Yeah.
So what I have remaining is what? 4. Now let's look at what happens. Let me give it a background. Did you save? Saved. Bootstrap has a CSS. Let me see if I can find it. Palace. Okay. I want background. Okay, this background. So BG primary. Okay. So if I do BG primary, it's going to apply background for me. So as you can see, it has divided it. It has assigned the first column 8, and the second one is taking only 4. Now, if I want both of them to be equal, what should I do? So this one be 6, and this will also be 6. Let's do this BG and give it danger. As you can see, it's dividing it equally. Okay, because I'm saying that the first column should be 6, the second column should be 6. Now let's go to mobile view and see what's happening. If I click on the mobile, as you can see, it's dividing it equally. Okay, but you remember that I told you that you have SM and MD. Now you can also tell Bootstrap that when the screen is big, you can do that, but when the screen is small, just so look at it. If I do MD or MD6, now look at what happens. Automatically, because you're on a small screen, it's going to forget it because this is not a medium screen. Okay, it's a small screen, so it's going to fill the whole weight or behave as if on small screen is filling the whole thing. But if you go to a bigger screen, so let's go to Surface Geo. Okay, this is not a bigger screen. Which one is a bigger screen? As you can see, when it's medium screen, it's using 6 because you have said that when you're on a medium screen, divide it into 2 equal parts. Okay, because you have 6, the total is 6, and you're dividing it into what? 6. Now, with that said, you can also continue dividing. So if I want to have 3 columns, what I have to do is all of them will be 4. This one will also be 4. This one will also be 4. So let's go to the page. Let's make this one success. As you can see, we are. Let me leave and go to. Okay, there's it. So as you can see, it's dividing it into 3 equal parts because we are telling it to apply each of the columns should be 4. Okay, so if you want to divide it into 3, what you do is F4. Then in that case, each one will be 3. Then I should have another one. The total row is 12. So you can divide it as much as you want to. Okay, but so now each one is taking 3. The space is 3. But what if I want the red to be 6. Yes, you can do that. You can apply it. You can apply 6. But what is going to happen is, now look at it. The whole thing is 12. Now, if I apply 3 plus 6, how many will I get? 9, right? If I apply 3 to it, we've gotten our 12 already. So what will happen? Automatically, Bootstrap will put this one to the next line. Now look at this is what I mean. Because this is taking more, now the next space, available space, is the next row. So automatically Bootstrap will bring it to the next line. The same to if you specify anything that is higher than how much it can take, automatically it will put it to the next line. Okay, so you can play along with the sizes. So first of all, you have a class called row, and directly inside the row is what you call a call. And the MD is just, I'm saying that on medium screen, give it this particular size. Okay, you can also go like, okay, so on small screen, make it 7. Look at something. If I do this 4, let me do it 4 so that it becomes visible. Now, let me, as you can see, this on medium screen. So a small screen or above. So what it's doing is, because this is a bigger than small screen, it's giving it 4, the initial 4. Okay, then the rest will follow. Now let's go to small screen, and voila, as you can see, it's only this small screen. SM should be 4. Let me see, has it saved? That's saved. So this should take only, okay, I think it's the size I've taken. Let me see, smaller screen. All these ones, so this one, the weight is 375, but Bootstrap is saying that it's going to apply it to, let's go to the breakpoint. So the small screen, when it's greater than 567, so because this one is smaller, that's why it's not applying that one to it. I think Bootstrap has taken the S. So there's this screen size called XS. I think they took it from the 5. Let me see. It's still there. They've taken it away. So, but on smaller screen, you can apply. Let me see if I can have very small screen. All this one. Core SM. Let's use responsive SC. So let's go below. I don't know. So I think Bootstrap 5 has taken this one, but you can also decide on smaller screen to how much weight you want to apply to all these ones, and it's going to fit in. But what I want to take, I want you to take away is, you have your row. The inside the row, you specify the columns. The column core MD, then you specify the size or the weight of that particular column. Okay. So that is it. The next one that you'll be looking at is forms. Now, let's have a simple form on our page. Let me clean this. So previously, if you remember, we did form input. So let's say type is going to be test. Let's do placeholder course name. Put a BR. Then do another input type test. Let's make it email. Disorder email. Yeah. Now this is a simple form. Let me take. So I think automatically Bootstrap is applying some styling to it. Let me take Bootstrap off. So this is how forms behave. I think so Bootstrap is applying. We see. Okay, so this is how forms looks like. Now, if you put Bootstrap in, let me uncomment Bootstrap, then apply this special class. So just as before, do class. Then the name of the class is form-control. The name of the class is form-control. Now let's see what happens. Bootstrap gives us this nice input. Look at how nice it is. We didn't do anything. Just apply form control to it and look at it. Voila, you're getting this nice input. So pay attention to this. It's called form control. And automatically, look at it. You're having this nice input. So if with the input that we work on later on, try applying this class to it and see how nice it is. So let's look at some of the forms that Bootstrap has for us. So let me copy this. And put it there. So the MB is margin bottom. So the margin bottom, what this thing means is this is a Bootstrap class or helper function. So instead of writing your margin, whatever, they specify the height. Bootstrap, you can do margin bottom, they specify the width that Bootstrap should give, and automatically it will do it for you. So you say, go to the page, and you're having this nice form over here. We have not written any CSS. This is just ID4, remember. Then the class for the label is form-label, and the form control that we talked about, you see, just this form control, and we're having this nice input over here. So this is a simple form inside Bootstrap. Let's look at how select is also done. So let me copy it. Then put it inside this one. So let me take this class from it. It's form select. I'm going to take it away. And let's go to the page. You see what the browser is giving us without any Bootstrap. But if you apply the class form select, now look at it. You're having this nice UI. Very nice. You have not written any class, but just applying. If you have not written any CSS, just applying the form select, you are getting this nice input over here. Okay, so for the input is form control, but for select is form select. Okay, now you have all this one checkboxes. Let me also copy it. Let me put it under this one. So with this one, with the checkbox, you just do form check input. So let me take it out so that you have a feeling of how it is. So clear it. So without Bootstrap, this is what you're getting. Okay, but if you put form check input class to it, you're having this nice, see, there's a little bit of animation when you click on it. So this is very nice. Just apply, know the class, form check input, and voila, you're having this nice. There are a lot of them. So all that you have to do is just go to the getbootstrap.com. Look at how the classes are being done. So if you want to have this indeterminate checkbox, just look at the input, the name of the class that is being applied to it, and that's it. You get the same thing as is on the page. So there are a whole lot of them, a whole lot. If you want to have buttons, you have already seen buttons. So let me copy this one, then tell you one important thing about Bootstrap. Then I'll leave you to go just play with all the classes that are here, know the name of the classes, and so forth and so forth. Now, Bootstrap has a convention. If you want to apply CSS to button, the
Sorry,
default
I
is
have a question.
BTN. You have a question? Okay.
Yeah, I saw you introducing some numbers for the screen sizes. Is it you determine the screen size, or is the machine that determines it? I saw you putting 7, 12, 9, something.
Yes. So if you put the size there, automatically Bootstrap is going to determine the page that the page that you are on and lay out your size for you. For example, if I let me think I clean it case here. Let me comment it. If you do class, if you do the MD4, don't forget the whole row is 12. If you do 4, what you are telling Bootstrap is this particular column, make sure it occupies as much as 4. Like if you take the screen size that you're on, divide it into 12, but give this particular one 4 of that page of that size that is on the page. So automatically Bootstrap is going to do that for you out of the box.
Sorry, what do you mean by the whole page is 12? Is it by default the whole size is 12?
Yes. So by default, what Bootstrap does is it divide the whole width into 12 equal sizes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So you have 12 to work with. Okay. So if you look at it, the first one is 4. The second one is 6. So now it means on the first row, the first element is going to occupy as 4 space, the 4 boxes. Let's say on each row you can put 4 boxes on it. Okay. But if you specify 4, it means you are going to put the first one is going to have 4 space, the second one is going to have 6. Now you have exhausted 10. The remaining space is what? 2. Now if I put 3, because we are looking at 12, it has like gone over the number of space that can be on a column. So automatically Bootstrap will bring it to the next line. So that's what's happening over here.
Okay.
So the first one is 4, the second one is 6, but the space that is remaining is 2. But we are saying that it should be 3. That's why it's bringing it to the next page. So Bootstrap is going to look at the page, the size of the page, and just lay out the sizes for you.
Okay.
Is it clear?
Cool.
Yeah. So
yeah, sure.
Let me introduce this important concept in Bootstrap. Now, if you want to do anything, alerts, modal, and those things, Bootstrap make sure you can start with the name of the thing that you want to do. So that you are styling button. Okay, so you start with BTN. Now, if you do BTN primary, it's going to apply the default theme color. In this case, blue. So anything that you do and apply primary to it, you are going to get blue. So if you look at it, we did background and we did BG. When you did BG primary, automatically Bootstrap is going to give you blue. Okay. If you want the button to be blue, so you do BTN space BTN hyphen primary and you get a blue button. Okay, BTN btn-primary, you get a blue button. Now, if you do btn success, you're going to get a green button. This is convention in Bootstrap. So btn success, you're going to get a green button. If you do btn danger, you're going to get a red button. If you do btn warning, you're going to get a green button. So if you want to apply this CSS, you can equally do that inside your code. So automatically, if you apply this particular convention, Bootstrap is going to do that for you. So let's say if you have this p tag, but I want it to be an alert, what you can do is do class. So the name start alert, then alert whatever you want to show. So in this case, I want it to show red. So alert danger. And now look at it. We are having this nice alert on the page. You didn't write any class, if you didn't write any CSS, and you're having this nice thing on the page. If you want it to be green, so I've shown you margin. So I want a margin top to be applied. So that becomes empty. Then apply the size that you want it to be, and automatically margin top is applied. You didn't write any CSS, and automatically it's being applied for you. If you want to change it to green, so that becomes btn success, and let's change this one. So now let's go to the page, and now you're having this nice success. Okay, so you can apply any of these classes, not only to btn, and you're going to have what you want. So let's say warning. And then as you can see, you have this warning. So you can play with any of the classes. Okay, now if you have a link, you can change this link to a button just by applying the class. So btn info. So let me take it off to then you have a feeling of what I mean. So there's no class that is being applied. This is the button. This is the link. Now, if I apply btn class to it, look at it. Yeah, it's behaving as a button just by applying the CSS, the class to it. So there are a lot of classes in Bootstrap. Just go through the Bootstrap documentation, just play along some of these things. Okay, just copy it. Look at how the class. What is important is the class. Look at the class that has been applied to it, and that's it. You are gone. The next one that is I want to talk about is image. You have image here, image. Okay, let's do an image. I think in one of our classes we did image. What did we have that thing? Okay, so let me put an image here, img. So src, then you have images, then home. Now let's see what we have. It's too big. Let me reduce the weight. So star width. Let's make it for 300 pixels, and height also 300 pixels. Okay, make it smaller. Now look at this. We can apply class. So img thumbnail. Thumbnail. Think I want to, let me look for the exact class name. Bootstrap. That anyone see image? Image. There's this particular style that is being okay, there's it. So there's image fluid. It makes the image responsive. So as you move open on bigger screen and larger screen, your image is going to be laid out in a nice way. So you let me apply that class. Then take this one out and see how Bootstrap will lay out our image. So you see, previously it was filling the whole page without the img. Look at it. Let me take this one out. You see, it's overflowing. It's going way beyond the page. But if I put the class img-fluid, automatically I'm having a responsive image. Now let me go to a smaller screen. Hey, our time is up. I'm going to stop now. So you see, on a smaller screen, you have a very nice image. Okay, so Bootstrap will do all this thing for you. You don't need to write anything. But if you don't use Bootstrap, you have to write a lot of code to achieve this simple thing. Okay, now let me make the image small. Img fluid. Okay, let's apply this thumbnail. So img thumbnail. Look at what Bootstrap will do. It will put like a frame around your image. Do you understand? It's like there's a border and a small pattern around it. Very nice. Just by applying img thumbnail. Also, there's this class align that will position it. There's this one I wanted to show. Rounded. Let me put rounded around it. And as you can see, Bootstrap. Let me take the thumbnail so that you have a feeling of what I mean. Now the image has some very nice rounded corners. So this is how you can use Bootstrap. Just look at the class, go to the Bootstrap documentation, look at how the class is used, then just apply that particular class to that element that you're talking about, and you should have a very nice UI. So I'm going to stop here. If you have any question, you can ask. Then we take our assignment. Then we can call it a day. Sorry for taking too much time. I think we didn't start early, so forgive me. Any question? Hello, my people. Any question? Okay, so if there's no question, this is the assignment for today. Please, so let me write it. So the first one is create registration, student registration website. So the data that you have to, the required data, let me say minimum. One, there should be student name. So do a nice label with student name and the input. Then class, the class. So the name should be first name, middle name, and last name, please. Then take the email. Then number 4, list 5 courses. So please do that using Bootstrap. Assignment number 2, create a login page. It's both email and password. A password and submit button. So this one, to use Bootstrap to do that. I hope it's clear. If you don't understand anything about the assignment, please let me know. So just create a normal registration form, but please use Bootstrap. Go to the documentation. I've shared a link. It's getbootstrap.com. So go there, then look at how the forms are created, then do the same. So that is it for today. If there's no question, you can close. Next week, we'll be having our session on Monday, and that one all that we are going to do is I'm going to give you a lot of templates that has Bootstrap on any class. Then what you're going to do, you're just going to edit it and make it suit us. So please don't forget to join on Monday. So within this month, we are finishing HTML, CSS. Then next month, we are going straight to JavaScript. That's React, what we are supposed to do. So please go through the Bootstrap documentation and get to know the classes. Thank you very much for joining today. Bye for now.